Hello everybody, I am NicoD. So it is no secret that I love rockchip RK3588 ARM SBCs. So I've gathered 5 of them right now and I hope I will receive a few more too. So in this video I am going to compare the boards that I've got, and I'm also going to add the Orange Pi 5. I do not have the Orange Pi 5, but I can show you the specs. I cannot tell you anything else about it except the specs. So the boards that I've got is here the NanoPi R6S. This is my NAS. Here I've got the Radxa Rock5B. Here I have got the Khadas Edge2. And then I've got 2 Mekotronics boards. So the first Mekotronics is the R58. This is the R58. And this is the R58X-4G. So this is a maxed out version of this. So this has got a lot more I/O than this, but this is also very nice. So I am going to show you the specs of all these boards. Then I'm gonna tell you what they are good for. I am going to tell you what boards have got the better software. So for me, I am lucky because I know a few great armbian devs. So I can have armbian on these boards. I just had to ask, hey, is it possible to create an image for me? And I've got armbian on it. And armbian runs great on the Mekotronics. So it isn't the same for everybody. These images are not yet downloadable. But for me, this is already awesome. So let's go over the specs. So here we go. So all these boards have got the RK3588 SoC or the RK3588S. Both come with 8 cores, the same GPU and NPU. So it has got 4 times Cortex A76 at 2.4 GHz. Not all boards have this clocked to 2.4 GHz. Some are at 2.2 and others in the middle. Then it also has got 4 times Cortex A55 at 1.8 GHz. This is the same for all boards. Then the GPU is a Mali G610 MP4 and it also has got a neural processing unit of 6 TOPS. So in performance there should be no difference between the RK3588 and the RK3588S. But in I/O there is a big difference. So the non-S version has got 2 times 2 lanes PCIe 3, the S version doesn't have that. The non-S version also has got 3 times 1 lane PCIe 2, and the S version only has got 2 times 1 lane PCIe 2. Also 3 times SATA 3.0 on the non-S version, and the S version has only 2 times SATA 3.0. So you can see all the differences here on the Radxa wiki. They are making another Rock5 board, the Rock5A, with the form factor of the Raspberry Pi or the Rock Pi 4. I think it's a bit silly that the B version isn't Raspberry Pi form factor, but well, everybody is free to name their child the way they want. See Elon Musk. So let's start with the NanoPi R6S. So this has got the RK3588S. It has got 8GB of LPDDR4X and a 32GB eMMC. So this has got 2 times 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, 1 time 1 gigabit Ethernet, 1 HDMI port. It is powered with USB-C, PD from 5 volts up to 20 volts. It has got a debug UART, micro SD slots. This is very handy to have. Easy to install new software and also easy to test other software. It has got 1 USB 3 port and 1 USB 2 port. So this is designed mostly as a powerful network device, so for routing and for web hosting and for serving. I am using it for a NAS, also for Armbian build server, torrent server and download server. Then there is the Khadas Edge2 Pro. So this also has got the RK3588S. So mine comes with 16GB LPDDR4X and a 64GB eMMC. There is also a Khadas Edge2 basic with 8GB LPDDR4X RAM and 32GB eMMC. So this is also a limited board, but for some use cases it is perfect. It seems designed for kiosks and digital signage, so for me it is perfect to make a laptop out of it for my trips. So this has got one USB 3 port and this can give 1.5 amps. Then a USB-C port. This can be used for DP, so for display or for power. Then one HDMI output, USB-C for power only, and a USB 2 port. On the bottom we see 3 camera ports and 2 microphones. It has got Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, SPI flash. And on the bottom of the board we see 2x MIPI DSI and 2x I/O ports for extra I/O. And it also has got pogo pads, so this is also for extra I/O with another I/O board. So this can also be bought with a case, but the case cannot be bought separately yet, so I am waiting for that. When I have that, then I will use it a lot more, but without a case I am too scared to short something and break it. It is a very expensive board, so I do not want to break this. And it looks very nice too, it's like a jewel. So here we've got the Rock5B from Radxa. So this has got the RK3588, so without the S. So this has got all the bells and whistles. This comes with either 4GB, 8GB or 16GB LPDDR4X. So this has got a 40-pin GPIO header. It has got power over Ethernet. It has got a micro HDMI input. Some buttons. M.2 NVMe, small sized. For Wi-Fi for example. Then we have got 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. This is great to have. 2x USB 3. 2x USB 2. SPI flash. 2x full-sized HDMI out. USB-C for power. But this is a problem, so the PD doesn't work well. It is best to have a fixed voltage. So what I am using is a 5V 4A PSU. If you use a lot of devices on it, then a 12V PSU would be preferable. So on the bottom we see the SD reader. There is 2x MIPI CSI. There is the full-sized M.2 NVMe. So this is connected to those PCIe 3 lanes. So this is very fast. And we also have got an eMMC socket. So you can choose what eMMC you want to use or not. So on paper this is a really nice board. But that's on paper. More about that later. And here we've got the Mekotronics devices. So on the left we have got the R58 mini aluminium version. So that was the first one that I got. The R58 mini plastic is the same, but with a plastic case and place for a 2.5-inch SATA disc. So let's go over the mini. So it is powered with a barrel jack of 12V. Then we see the first HDMI out, second HDMI out and HDMI in full-size ports. Then 1 gigabit Ethernet. It has got Wi-Fi. Then a power button. Then a recovery button. Then USB Type-C, 2 USB 2 ports and 1 USB 3 port. Then reset button. There are some kind of GPIOs. I think it is mainly UART. There is a SATA ribbon connector. And then a full-sized display port and serial ports. And then the R58X-4G. So this is the maxed out version. This has got all the bells and whistles. I'm very happy to have this. So first we have got some debug ports, then 2x gigabit Ethernet LAN, a full-sized display port, HDMI out and HDMI in, DC power, so again 12V Batman energy. Then we see the 4G GPS module. So this is a mini PCIe socket, very handy to have. I bought some modules for this to test, so we will see that in the review of this board, but that's for in a few weeks. Then we have got 2x USB 2 pins, so for extra USB 2, then the power button, audio connector, then USB Type-C, and this can also do DP, so for an extra HDMI, then 2 times USB 2, 1 time USB 3, the NVMe SSD, so this is connected to the PCIe 3.0. Then on the left there is SATA power and a full-size SATA port, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, some GPIOs and power over Ethernet. And on the bottom we see there is room for a SIM card. So this is really a crazy board. It does cost a lot, but it does bring a lot of functionality. What I am missing here is 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, so I bought a module for that and I will see if it works well. I've gotten both from Mekotronics, so thank you Mike. I'm loving these boards a lot. And as last, the Orange Pi 5. So this has got the RK3588S. This comes with 4, 8, 16 or 32 gigabytes LPDDR4. Can be that not all of them are the X types. And I haven't seen a 32 gigabytes model either. So this has got a 26 pin GPIO header, recovery key, debug UART, 2 times USB 3, 16 megabytes SPI flash, gigabit Ethernet, a camera connector, USB 2, another camera connector, an LCD connector, USB Type-C, HDMI out, audio in and out. For power it is Type-C, only 5 volts 4 amps max. There is a microphone, a power button, mask ROM key, an SD card slot, and on the bottom we see an NVMe slot, an LCD connector and a real-time clock connector. So this is the cheapest of them all, but it doesn't have got the I/O that the Rock5B has or the Mekotronics R58X-4G. Here's some benchmarks for those who want to see it. So there isn't much difference. The Khadas Edge2 performs a little bit better than the others in 7-zip multicore. All those that use Jami or Ubuntu 2204 perform the same with NicoD Blender benchmark, so 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Those with older versions of Ubuntu or with Debian have older versions of Blender, so they perform worse with Blender. So these benchmarks don't say much, I just show them because I've got them. So as we have seen, the Rock5B and also this the Mekotronics R58X-4G both have got the best I/O. The Rock5B has got 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, while this has got 2 ports of 1 gigabit Ethernet. So that's what makes the Rock5B a little bit better. But this has got mini PCIe, so I have got, where would it be? I think it's behind. So I have got a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet adapter for mini PCIe over here, so I'm gonna test this. I also bought this, so this is mini PCIe to double SATA, so I can test this on the mini PCIe of the Mekotronics. And then the Mekotronics will also have 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, I hope, if it works well. So the Mekotronics boards both seem more made for professional use cases. So this one is more made for digital signage. It has got all full-sized ports, display ports. So 2 times HDMI out port, 1 HDMI in port, and also a full-sized DP port. So this is great for digital signage. The mini with the plastic case is great for at home, for a mini PC. So the plastic case has got room for a 2.5 inch hard drive or SSD. So that makes it a lot better than this, because this doesn't have room for the SATA. It does have got a SATA ribbon cable, but you would have to put the SATA disk on top of it. So this then has got a lot more I/O. This can have an NVMe, which I love a lot. This also has got the mini PCIe, which I love a lot. It also has got 4G, so for tasks where it's cannot be without internet. It can be connected to the internet with Ethernet, and when the internet falls out, it can still be operating over 4G. So for companies this can be very important. So I see this more in a production use case. So in a factory it can work with machines with these special I/O thingies. So for that it is really an awesome board. It has everything you could ask of an RK3588. So this is made for networking. It is simple. It doesn't have many more functions. It does have one HDMI port, but not more. So for networking this is awesome. This of course is made for things that need to be small. So for a kiosk, for example, a small kiosk, this would be perfect. It can also be used for digital signage with the extra display ports and camera ports. So this will be nice for me to take with me on my trips, to have a on-the-road computer. So now the software. So for that I would say the Khadas Edge2 comes in the first place. The Khadas software is pretty good. It is easy to install with UWOW. So you press this button at boot and then you go into UWOW and you can install software over the internet with it. It is very easy to work with. It is very fun to work with. The Ubuntu images are very good. So the good thing about Khadas is they have got a forum and they are very active at the forum. So if you ask something, they answer within a day, and that is very good. That's why they are on spot number 1. Because when there is a problem, they fix it, they upload new images and people can use it. So that's why Khadas comes at the first place. There isn't much other software than the software from Khadas for it yet, but I still put it at the first place. So then the second place is the NanoPi R6S. It isn't as good as the Khadas Edge2 in software. The Panfrost driver, Panfork driver doesn't work on the Ubuntu 22.04, but I like it a lot for desktop tasks. So I've been using this for months now for desktop, so for watching YouTube and watching videos, watching movies and so. And for that it is great, just missing the gaming on this. Then the third spot is for the Mekotronics boards. The software of Mekotronics isn't perfect, but they are working on it to have it better. One problem they have is all the Linux images have the partitioning of Androids, and that's not good. I will talk with them to fix that. So what I am using on this is Armbian. So an Armbian developer, Monkabliat, has made images for me for the Mekotronics boards, and these images are very good. They are still beta images, test images, but I am running it on the Mekotronics R58X-4G. So now this is my main desktop. So I'm running the Panfork driver on it. I am using the multimedia PPA. So it is a great device. It is great for me for desktop tasks. It is great for gaming. I can do everything with it that I need to do. One problem it has got, for example, is I cannot yet install Armbian to the NVMe. That's just a small bug that will be fixed later. But otherwise this is really great. And this is about the same as this, of course. The last in software is the Rock5B. I thought this would be in the first spot, but I have to put it as last. So the only okay software that's on it is Armbian, but this is very buggy. I think it is because the DTB files aren't made well. So for the other boards, they work on the DTB files, they improve it. Here not much work has been done, I see. So the images from Radxa itself are the worst of all of them. So I have to say these are all using, all these RK3588 boards are using 5.10 kernel. This isn't really Linux. This is a hacked together kernel that shouldn't exist, but it does exist. And so they make it work with that hacked together kernel, and Khadas has done a great job to make it work with that bad kernel. Mekotronics boards also run pretty well with that hacked kernel. The NanoPi R6S works pretty well with that hacked kernel. This doesn't run well with that hacked kernel. I do not know what the problems are. I know what the problems are. I do not know what the causes are. So for me, the experience with the Rock5B is the worst of them all. I have paid a lot for this board too, so that might be a reason why I dislike it a little bit more. All the others were free. This one has cost me a lot of money. But I hope it will improve. So when the mainline kernel will arrive for RK3588 boards, then things should improve a lot. So I think the Rock5B, it will be waiting for the mainline kernel for it to be great. So now, as last, I will tell you what's my favorite and what's the least favorite. So that will have to do with all the things. So with the specs of the board, with the heatsink, if it has got good cooling or not, that's important for me. The software, of course, is very important. So what is my absolute favorite RK3588 for now? I will have to say it is this, the Mekotronics R58X-4G, a difficult name to say. So this one is now my favorite board because it has got all the bells and whistles, it has got a nice case, it is well protected, it is nice to work with, it has got all the display ports on the back and Ethernet and all the USB ports on the front, so I like to use it. It is awesome. This is an awesome board. I know it is very expensive, but for me this is awesome. Do know this is awesome for me because I know the armbian developer who can make images for me. If I didn't know him, then this wouldn't be much for me, but I do know him and I use armbian on it. If somebody needs the armbian image, I can create a link for it. So you can use it too, but it is still buggy. But for me, I can do everything that I needed to do with it. So in the future I see this board become my favorite and my main desktop. It is already my main desktop. Now I'm not using it because I've got it in my hands. But yeah, during the day and during the night I am running this and it is great. I am running games on it. I am running YouTube on it. I am running dual display, so I am using this small display and this display or my big display. So for that, this is my favorite. The second is the NanoPi R6S. This does the job what I wanted from it. So I wanted a fast NAS. So I've got a 2TB SSD that's connected to the USB 3 and it's got 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. So for that it does it great. It's also awesome for desktop tasks, but the gaming isn't there. So for that, this is the second place. Then on third place I will put this, the Khadas Edge2. Khadas Edge2 is awesome in every way. I just want a good case for it. That's the thing that is missing. It is really a danger to short something with this. If I would drop some drops on it, it would be dead. So I don't want to use it like this. And then as last, this is a shame, the Rock5B. It has the potential to reach the top, but it isn't there yet. So the software isn't there yet. It seems the developers, the main developers, aren't interested in it as long as there isn't a mainline kernel. So we will have to wait for it to be very good, but it is usable. I will not say it's not usable. The most software is available for this board, so there is Batocera for it, there is armbian, there are other Linux images for it, but they are just not very good. So that's why it comes at the last spot. Also, it comes without a heatsink, it doesn't come with a proper cooling. So all the others have proper cooling. That's something that you have to count in with the price. If you have got a metal case, like all these, or if you have got good heatsink with fan, that makes a difference in price too. Here there is not a cooling solution. I am using my R58X-4G heatsink and it just isn't good enough. So for that, this comes at the last spot. It also has cost me a lot of money. I had to pay 80 euros for income taxes and then the price that I had to pay to buy this. So that's also a reason I had to pay a lot. But well, so that is my opinion. It doesn't have got anything to do with science or with I don't know what. It's just my opinion. So thank you all for watching. Please like this video. I will review the Mekotronics boards and the Rock5B in the future. The Rock5B will probably be the last since it isn't ready yet. So thank you all for watching. Like this video, subscribe to my channel. See you later. Bye.